Welcome back on Guard Army. Today we are going to be going over a Gholdengo Palkia list. And I apologize for how long it has been since the last video. I have had my computer in the shop. We have had some issues lately. That being said, we are going to bring to you a Gholdengo Palkia list. And I have been liking this list a lot so far. It may seem a little bit strange comparatively to some other lists, but I think it is very good, and it's been doing very well in testing so far. So to start, we have 4 Gholdengos. This has the ability Coin Bonus, which once during your turn you may draw a card. If this Pokemon is in the active position, draw 1 more card. So in this particular case, one of them may be in the active and you get to draw 2 off of it, but for each additional Gholdengo you can also draw an additional card. So it's a lot of draw on a Pokemon that is your main attacker in the deck. So we have 4 Gholdengos to start. Right up here. And then we have 3 of the 70 HP Gimmighoul with Continuous Coin Toss, which is flip a coin until you get tails. It does 20 damage for each heads. Attack isn't super relevant, but the 70 HP is super relevant for being able to live some of those spread damage attacks or spread from Valiant. It's definitely the better thing to put onto your bench against Valiant to make it less likely that they just remove all your Gimmighouls. And then we also have 1 50 HP Gimmighoul because it has 1 retreat and Call for Family, which lets us search our deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto our bench, which is a decent going second attack. Then we have 2 Palkia V-Star. It has Subspace Swell, which does 60 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both our opponents and ours. So this is a good mid-range attacker when we don't want to use Gholdengo's Make It Rain attack, which is discard as many basic energies as you want from your hand and do 50 for each. That can scale up to some massive knockouts, but if you don't want to be getting rid of as many energies and still doing a solid amount of damage to knock out most Vs and basic EXs, then Subspace Swell would be the way to go as well. And it has Star Portal, which lets us get back 3 water energy from our discard pile and attach it to our water Pokemon in any way we like. This is great for being able to set up multiple Palkias, or even potentially a Luminous Sign Lumineon, the basic Palkia if we wanted to swing for 200, or Radiant Greninja. So we've got 2 of the Palkia Vs, and then we also have a Lumineon, because our supporter lineup is very strange in this deck. This Luminous Sign lets us tutor out whatever supporter we want, which is great for the consistency of the deck, especially in a deck that wants to basically be running through our deck and drawing as many cards as possible. And then we also have Radiant Greninja with Concealed Cards, lets us discard a water energy or a metal energy from our hand and draw 2 cards. In this particular deck, it's a great attacker paired with Star Portal, because Moonlight Shuriken can snipe 2 things for 90 damage, and with a deck playing 4 superior energy retrieval anyway, we want to be getting our energy in our discard to maximize the usage of our superior energy retrievals. Then we also have a Manaphy. This helps us to not have our entire engine sniped as we're trying to get set up, but also, even if they do go through the process of trying to Yoga Loop Manaphy and then snipe 2 Gimmighouls, we could still just have a Palkia on the field, reset our board, and then swing for good enough damage to be just knocking out a Valiant or whatever happens to be in the active. Then we have 4 Battle VIP Pass, getting into our ball search here. This is always great for just being able to set up our board as quickly as possible. Then we have 4 Ultra Balls. Can grab any piece out of our deck. Then we have 2 Nest Balls for grabbing our basics, and 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball in case we prize something like the Radiant Greninja, or if we prize multiple Palkias or multiple Gimmighouls. It's always great to just be able to access your prize cards. Also saves you the trouble of prize checking if you happen to see it early on. And then we get into the weird supporter lineup. We have 2 Irida, a Worker, a Melanie, a Cynthia's Ambition, a Boss, and a Roxanne. We have 2 Irida here because it's definitely the most important supporter of the deck. We might even go up to 3 at some point, but right now 2 has been seeming very nice. It's great for grabbing Battle VIP Pass, Ultra Ball, Superior Energy Retrieval, grabbing our Palkia V-Star or a Radiant Greninja, but it's better in the early game because once we get our water Pokemon out of the deck, it's less useful and only really grabs items past that point. Plus, our deck is more of an items-based deck and not necessarily based around our supporters, which is why we sort of have tech supporters in this deck. It's just 2 Iridas has felt very good for setup. We have Worker for discarding a Stadium and drawing 3. This is good against the path decks that want to slow down Gholdengo's massive amounts of draw. We have Melanie for setting up the Palkias in a single turn by going Melanie Attach. We have Cynthia's Ambition, which you all may not have seen for a little bit. This is if one of our Pokemon was knocked out, we get to draw until we have 8 cards in hand. Otherwise, we draw until we have 5 cards in hand. Either way, it's good straight draw, and this deck very much likes just drawing cards instead of doing like shuffle draw or discard and draw, so most of our stuff is going to be just straight up adding cards or drawing cards into our hand. We have 1 boss to be able to gust up specific things if we want to target them, and then we have a Roxanne for the late game disruption. I opted for a Roxanne over Iono here because Iono scales down as the game goes on, and as the game goes on we mostly want to be hitting higher things. This lets us see 6 cards in the late game as well as disrupting our opponent down to 2. Then we have 4 Superior Energy Retrieval, great for getting back 4 energies to be able to use for Gholdengo's attack. We have 2 Earthen Vessel, this is great for getting set up in the early game. I've found that the majority of the games that I am using Irida in, I have been going Irida for Radiant Greninja Earthen Vessel, and it has been insane. Then we have a Switch, an Escape Rope, our main switching effects of the deck, a Lost Vacuum for another path removal that's tutorable with Irida, a Counter Catcher for another form of Gust in case our opponent gets ahead of us in the game, a Palpad to be able to shuffle back any of our supporters that we already have, and a Super Rod for shuffling back any of our Pokemon that we have. And now you'll see why we are running a little bit of a weird line here. We have Palpad and Super Rod to be able to manage them a little bit better, and then we also have 3 Pokestops to be running through our deck and grabbing a ton of items, as well as the reasoning behind running less supporters is because we're going to be seeing a lot more cards off Pokestop, and we're able to hit things to recur them, such as Palpad and Super Rod. In addition to that, we have 4 Water Energy, 8 Water Energy, and then 4 Metal Energy. I have found this to be an absolutely great number. We normally don't need more than 4 Metal Energy for the Gholdengo. It only requires 1 to attack. Other than that, this is mainly a Palkia deck, so the more waters we have, the easier it is to set up our Greninja or our Palkia. With the 2 Earthen Vessel, it has been very easy to be able to get stuff into the discard pile very, very early, and I have, in testing so far, not missed a turn to attack with either Palkia, Radiant Greninja, or Gholdengo. I have always been able to get off some sort of meaningful attack with this deck, which, in my opinion, means it's probably pretty good. I have enjoyed this build quite a bit, and I hope you'll test it out yourselves. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below if there's any other builds from this particular set that you want me to cover. Hope you all have a great rest of your night, and I will catch y'all later. Have a good night.